Welcome to Live Calm by SOULESTA Living, the podcast where each week we explore practical ways to bring calm to your mind, body, home, and relationships, the 4 pillars of my Calm Compass framework. I'm your host, Keeley Cherie, calmness coach and founder of SOULESTA Living. So, whether you are an entrepreneur, a professional, or just someone who is ready to prioritize your peace, this podcast is your guide to living your best, calmer, healthier, and happier life. So, let's dive in. So, today's focus is on the mind, and we're talking about time management and reducing time stress. This month is actually Time Management Month. It's the perfect time to explore tips for managing the precious resource of time. So, I want you all to keep in mind that you can always make more money, but time is something that you can never get back, as we all know. So, starting with number one, knowing your strengths. So, this to me is the most important because I believe that a lot of us can waste time on things that we're not strong in and are weak in. So, I believe that working against your natural abilities can be a huge time waster for people. So I suggest taking a self-assessment if you haven't done so already. One book that I recommend is the StrengthsFinder 2.0 book. It has a link to it where you can take a self-assessment in the book. Um, and then you can take those, it gives you your top five, actually, what your top five strengths are in your personality. And if you've taken any other assessments, potentially in corporate, like I have taken the DISC previously, the predictive index, there's also Colby, there's many others, or there's also like your Enneagram, things like that. If you've taken any of those, you can take all of that information, and I suggest putting it into ChatGPT or whichever AI chatbot you use, whether it's Claude or Gemini or any other one, and putting what your strengths are in there and asking it to summarize them and give you a list of the things that you should be working on and what are the things that you should not be working on given your strengths and weaknesses, and what should you be delegating to other people, and what would it mean for you to operate in your zone of genius and not just your zone of excellence, which is things that you might be good at but it's not really the best use of your strengths and abilities. Number two, my second tip is to track your time. So sometimes we get so busy that we know that we're just not accomplishing everything that we want to accomplish. And we haven't, well, we don't have like an inventory of where all of our time has gone. So when I first became an entrepreneur, I decided to start tracking my time. And at first, I really didn't like it that much because I felt like I was a hourly employee tracking my time, but I had to change my mindset around it and know that this was a useful tool to help me figure out what I'm spending most of my time on, and what's worth it to do that or not. And it was a really eye-opening experience for me because did not know how long it was taking me to do some tasks. And then when I was able to get help in my business, I realized that certain things that took me hours and hours don't necessarily take other people as much time. Again, going back to what your strengths are, someone else might be able to get something done in 1 hour that might take me 3 hours. So those things are good to know. And so the app that I use is called Toggle, Toggl, no E. And it's a free app and you can add people to it. So if you have a team, you can add them to the free app and you can see their hours and what they're working on and how long it's taking them to do a certain task. So I have found that to be very helpful. Also, be efficient with how you are spending your time. So, and I mean this even from a personal perspective, like how can you group errands and tasks and things that are close together? Like some days I have to go pick up my mail from my virtual office. But I might pick a day when I'm already out instead of going on just a regular day and spending that time, because that's extra time leaving my house, coming back, traffic, all of those things. Instead, I try to group it on days when I'm already away from the house. And if there's anything else I need to do in that area where I'm already going to be to maximize the time that I've spent away from the house. And then that means I can have days that I don't leave and I can just primarily focus on getting things done because I'm not going back and forth all the time if I don't need to. The other tracking that I recommend is tracking apps, how much time you're spending on apps on your phone. So a lot of times our phones are our biggest distractions. And sometimes we're just scrolling, 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 and you don't really know how much time that adds up. And you can set limits for yourself on, I know my phone you can set limits for yourself on certain apps. And I have done that for certain social media apps that I don't want to spend more than a certain amount of time per day spent on that app. And so it will send me an alert like, hey, you only have 10 minutes left to spend on this app today. And so that helps me keep my time in line so I'm not spending too much time in areas that I don't want to be. Number three, prioritize your time. So I don't know if you all are aware of the 4 Ds of time management that can help you prioritize your time. And these are associated with the Eisenhower matrix. So they are do, which in the Eisenhower matrix, that is things that are urgent and important, or delay. And those would be things that are important but not urgent. Delegate, those are things that are urgent but not important. And then delete, just get rid of it all together if they are not urgent or important. So I hope those can help you on how to prioritize your tasks. Are they urgent and important? If so, then do them. If are they important but not urgent, then you can delay them. Are they urgent but not important? Who can you delegate those to? And then if it's not urgent or important at all, just throw the whole task away. Just delete it. And then how I prioritize my day is a tip that um, a manager gave me when I was back in corporate America of, starting with people first. And so I've added some things to it, but this person recommended that I start with delegating first with starting my day with what are the things that other people can be working on for me. And if you have any trouble with delegating, I suggest reading the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. So that can help you. And so when I am looking at my list, a lot of times I start to think who might be able to help me with this. And if you don't have a team, I mean, you can, look up people who can just do project-based work and little things that people can help you with, or websites like TaskRabbit instead of trying to figure out how to do things in your home that you don't know how to do. So delegating, not necessarily only in a work sense, but also maybe personal tasks, who can help you with certain things at home. Then also, what are the things that you need from other people? So I used to have this challenge that I would work on deep work all throughout the day and then get to almost the end of my day and I'm thinking, oh, wait, I meant to ask so and so for this piece that I need for something else. And when I really should have been starting my day with asking that person for what I needed, so that when I got to, whatever piece of the project, they've had time to work on it and we're not running out of time because I waited too late to ask them for what I need. So a lot of times now I try to start my day if I need something from someone else, to give them time to be able to get that to me so we're both not rushing. And then what are the things that other people need from you? So I'm not checking email all the time, but I do try to start my day with replying to the emails that are in my inbox. So people aren't messaging me constantly throughout the day, like, did you get my message? Following up, all of that. So trying to clear out as much as I can, even if it's just to set the expectation that I'm going to get back to you in the next 2 days, or I'm going to get back to you tomorrow because I have such and such and such going on. So a lot of it is setting the proper expectations and just communicating with people, even if you can't prioritize the task at that time. People just want to know, the status of projects a lot of the times. So if you say, "Hey, I hear you. You're there. I recognize you, and I will respond to your message or get you what it is you need, but it might be a couple more days if you can just, be patient with me." I find that setting those realistic expectations goes a long way versus just saying nothing and, people don't know what's going on. Then also, this goes back to knowing yourself. Know also when you're most productive and schedule your tasks and focus time and things that you need to do around when you're best able to focus. So for me, I'm not an early morning person. A lot of people think that I might be, but I am not an early morning person. I am actually more of a night owl than I am a morning person. But I also don't want to be working late nights all the time. But the sweet spot of when I work is like right after lunchtime. Like my brain is the most focused. So when I'm doing something that requires deep concentration, like writing out an email or writing a blog post or putting things together, I do things like that when my brain is more alert, which is right after lunchtime. Because if I am hungry, I can't really focus or think properly. And I don't always eat like a big breakfast. So I'm just getting started in the day. So when I'm just getting started, I don't schedule a lot of meetings in the morning because I'm just trying to, get acclimated to what the tasks are that I need. So typically before lunch, I'm doing more admin work, like catching up on admin things, or or in the evenings. Those are things that don't require too much like output of like my thoughts. Then some of the things are repetitive tasks that I can do easily, but I do the things that require the most brain power at my optimal time of working, which is afternoon. So don't work against yourself in your natural rhythm. If you're a night owl, then do your work at night. Sometimes if I am working in the evenings, like if I've had a lot of personal stuff to do during the day, I will schedule emails to go out to the next morning, because what I don't want is for people to think that I'm working at all hours and then they can um, reach out to me at all times and then violate my time boundaries. So that's something to be aware of as well. Another thing is keep one priority at a time. So something funny I remember from when I was in corporate was when people would have conflicting number one priorities given to them, and they would be like, okay, so this is my number three number one priority. Like you have three different number one priorities, which actually is not possible. So you have to rank what is the most important thing and only work on that. Multitasking is actually proven not to work very well. Like your brain literally cannot do two things at once. So it's better to try to focus on one thing. Like you're not going to be able to do both things at 100%, basically. Can you multitask? Yes, you actually can, but you're just not retaining everything in the same way, trying to do multiple things at once. So there is a study that says that multitasking can reduce productivity by 40% because your brain struggles to juggle multiple cognitive tasks. So don't put extra stress on your brain that you don't have to. So just try to focus on one thing at a time and avoid a bunch of task switching, because that also impacts your productivity when you're jumping from, okay, well, now I'm going to go check email, and now I'm going to go do this and go back and forth, and now I'm going to go back to my writing. And I have to fight that urge a lot too, because I'm curious and I want to get back to people as quickly as possible. But I keep in mind that if I stop and do something else, it's going to take me a while to get back to in the flow of what I was doing previously. All right, number four, I touched on this a little bit a bit ago, but protect your time. So say no to things that don't align with priorities. So that goes to your ability to set and keep your boundaries. So it doesn't have to be in, a nasty way or a mean way. You can say it in your way, like, I'm not able to do that at this time. And people set boundaries with me all the time in business. Like, this is not, in my scope of work of what I do. And then they'll recommend someone else instead of trying to force themselves to do things that are outside of what they would normally do. Um, I would also say, just make sure you're blocking out your time. Again, going back to whenever you work best, to minimize the distractions that you have, because research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus after you've had an interruption. So you turn off the notifications. I do that whenever I am, again, doing focus work. Like, I'll actually like turn my phone over so I don't see anything, I don't hear anything. And then whenever it's time to check back in, like with, calls or messages, then there's time for that. Rarely, I mean, I do understand when people who have families and things like that, but outside of that, rarely there are things that are just like emergencies that need your attention in that minute all the time. So do the best you can with protecting your time. Then number five, have an organization system. So another thing that I find that holds up people's time is when they don't have one central place for things. And I mean that digitally and as well as in your home. So if you can't find things because you don't have a home for things, then that is wasting your time every day. So I recommend, like, digitally, I keep all of my files and everything in Google Drive. So you don't have to use Google Drive, but just making sure you have file folders that are um, labeled and easy to find things when you're looking for them, so you're not wasting too much time looking around for the different things that you need. At home, I believe everything needs a place and a home, so having some type of organizational system in your home, getting additional baskets, labels, whatever it is you need, so that you can find things, people in your home can find things, and they're not asking you all the time. Those are things that are taking up, space in your time throughout your day, doing things that if you had a system for it, it would save you from, having to do that multiple times. Number six, utilizing technology and AI. So I know that a lot of people in my life love using written out planners and all of those things. I'm all for that. But I also love having your calendar as a backup digitally and putting everything in your calendar with a reminder. So you can write it out too, but I really strongly believe that that helps. Just for me, it does help, keeps me organized and knowing what I need to do and backing out of projects and events and things that I need to do. So If it's even for personal. So if it's somebody's birthday coming up, I might have an alert that reminds me the week before to remind me to get a gift for them. So I'm not last minute trying to rush around and, get a gift. So a lot of times I'll put things in my calendar, but I'll set a reminder for a week or 2 weeks to remind me if there's something I need to do to prepare for whatever that task is or whatever the event is. And then with AI, oh wait, going back to that, with one other thing I wanted to add on the calendar before I move on to the next thing is also putting in your task at home. So instead of letting your, different things that you need to do for the home pile up, or maintenance things that you need to do at home, putting all of that in your calendar. So put everything in there. Put your rest time. When I take my walks, I put that in my calendar. So it alerts me when I'm working, because sometimes when I'm in the zone, I don't look at the time and time just kind of flows by. So I'll keep working sometimes. And so I use my phone to remind me it's time to, take a break, take a walk, separate from whatever it is I'm doing at the time. And then for I use AI to help me brainstorm on different projects. Again, not just in business, but also at home. Whenever I am having a struggle or any time that I am trying to figure out um, something difficult or a decision, if I'm thinking about something for too long of a time and I don't know who to ask for advice, like on this particular issue that I'm dealing with, I put it into Chat GPT. Like I don't use like specific names or anything like that, but I might ask it like, hey, I'm dealing with such and such issue. What are ways to handle this? Or what are ways to say this? Instead of me wasting time just going around and around and around thinking of the best solution for something, AI might not have always the perfect solution or the way that you would do it, but it might help you think of something else that you didn't think of before. So I'm not saying go to AI for everything and let it do your thinking for you, but it may present you with something that you didn't think of before. So I use it a lot of times to help with problem solving. And then in business, like, which I know a lot of people are already using it for this, but helping with generating ideas for emails, podcast topics, blogs, stuff like that, that so you don't have to start from a blank slate with everything. Number 7, buy your time. And this is if you have the means and ability. So I recognize that not everybody has the means and ability to do this. But for the people who do, who, might be making a good amount of money, but you feel like you don't have the time to do whatever you need to do because maybe you have a demanding job that is helping you make that money, or you have a family and you feel like you still don't have enough time. Well, maybe you need to outsource some of the things either at home or in work. So, can you outsource your home cleaning? Can you outsource your laundry? Can you outsource your grocery shopping? Everyday tasks, all of those things add up to time that you're spending throughout your day. So, can you invest in those things? And the way that I look at it is that you are investing in other people's businesses and other families. You are spreading the resource of money. So don't just look at it as you're lazy when you're not doing certain things that you can outsource in the home. There are services available for a reason. So utilize them if you have the financial ability to do so. I don't believe there's any shame in that if you can do that. And in work, whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur, either way, you can still think like a CEO and think about who can help me, again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, who can help you with a particular task. And lastly, 8, mindfulness and self-care for your time. So, first, starting with taking a mindful break. So, it's important not to just work, 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 even though you are needing to have times when you do focused work. But it's important to take a mindful break to give yourself some mental clarity and just a little bit of rest for your brain. So I keep in mind the Pomodoro technique, which is when you take a 25-minute, when you do 25 minutes of focused work and then you take a 5-minute break. Um, then you can also use meditation to increase your focus and manage stress and increase your productivity. So, if you are interested in any of my guided meditations, you can find them on my website at soulestaliving.com and will also be linked in the show notes. Then affirmations. So affirmations, are strongly tied to what you believe. And if you keep saying you don't have time, you're not going to have time. And so we all have the same amount of hours in a day, and that's just going to add to your stress if you keep saying things like that. So instead of telling yourself constantly, you don't have time, say to yourself instead, I have all the time that I need. So, and just know that you have the time that you need to get the most important things done, but also give yourself grace because you may not get everything done checked off of your to-do list at the end of the day. So just give yourself some grace to have some things that might spill over. There's only so many hours in the day. And so just to close here, I hope that, you can free up valuable time, reduce stress for yourself, and create a more structured and peaceful routine by implementing some of these time management strategies. If you want to dive deeper, I do have a self care for the mind collection, which does have a section on time management and focus. In addition to that, it also has a section on stress and anxiety management, creativity and manifesting, as well as loneliness and depression. It includes a PDF guide, there's a workshop recording, and there's also a meditation on being present in the present moment that comes with that collection. And now it's time for our Calm Connection Corner. So it is your turn. If you have any time management tips that you would like to share, please share them with me. Leave a comment, email me at celesta-co.com. And for any organizations listening, team members, they can also use these tips to improve their focus and productivity at work. So I hope those are helpful in business as well. So you can subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn under my name, Keeley Cherie, for more work applications. So I just want to thank you for joining me today on this journey to living calm. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss one and share it with someone who might need more calm in their life. I want to grow this peaceful community together. If you're wondering where to start on your calmness journey, I've got you covered. You can take my free Calm Compass quiz to discover which area of your life, whether it be the mind, the body, home, relationships, needs the most attention to start with. It is quick, just 2 minutes long, and designed to help you take the first step towards a more peaceful life. And I do read all the responses, so thank you to everyone who has taken the quiz so far. You can find it at SOULESTALiving.com, or you can find it in the show notes as well. And I hope that you all will take the time to leave a review or a comment, and you can be featured on the Calm Connection Corner if you, give us some feedback. And I want you to lastly remember that, just like my grandmother Celesta taught me with her amazing, famous lemon cakes that inspired SOULESTA Living, that when life gives you lemons, make lemon cake. So sometimes the sweetest moments come from embracing life's challenges with joy and grace. Until next time, live calm and well.